Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Summit, coming to you from the ancestral lands of the Lenni Lenape. If you're joining us online, please take a moment to say hello in our chat. My name is Jermaine Crepe. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of your Lifespan Ministry team. I am a plus-size African-American woman with graying dreadlocks, wearing a white shirt and pale blue tribal print pants. So many things are coming up for this community as we move into fall, and we'd love for you to all to be a part of them. First, registration is ongoing for Beacon's Youth and Children's Community. To learn more, either find myself or Dr. Tooley in the lobby during social hour, or visit our website, www.summitbeacon.org. Look for the Children and Youth tab underneath our Feed the Spirit heading. And also under that same heading is our adult community group signups, which ends on September 15th. Community groups offer our adults the gift of spiritual connection, a journey of reconnection to life, other spiritual travelers, and back to your authentic self through introspection and deep listening. So consider being part of that journey, which starts in October. Finally, we celebrate the installation of Reverend Laszlo Benjetti Jofia. I had to learn how to say that. To the ministry of the Baroque Unitarian Church, our Transylvanian partner church. Blessings on your news ministry, Reverend Jofia. Richard, an incarcerated member of the Church of the Larger Fellowship, shares the following. Our place here and now is but a blink of an eye. But we are here, and we're all part of the same scheme. After all, we helped create it. And what we do from beginning to end is entirely up to us. So take a deep breath. Set down everything that you're carrying with you today, and let's worship together. Rooted in the values of this congregation and Unitarian Universalism, of justice and transformation, compassion and courage, transcendence, and most of all, love. May we know that here, each of us contributes to the beauty of the whole that is Beacon. Welcome, friends.
Good morning, beloved. I'm Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a member of the lead ministry team, and I am a short but elevated with heels white woman wearing a teal dress and a blue-green stole for this water ceremony Sunday. I want to invite forward a leader in our community, a worship associate, and a person of great spiritual depth in honor of a very special transition that's happening, but also a great contribution that she has made. 15 years ago, an idea came to Helen Care, and that idea was called Green Vespers. It became a monthly service grounding us in the earth, that we are of earth, of the spirituality to commit to living in accord and right relationship with this beautiful blue boat home. Green Vespers will be transitioning to have the rituals that Helen has incredibly crafted into our Sunday services. We are also going to be creating a spirit-centered justice group working in response to the climate crisis. And I know that the social gatherings that Green Vespers is famous for, the monthly meals will, I'm sure, continue. But I wanted to take a moment to really thank Helen. Thank you. And to invite you forward to lead our living chalice, a ritual drawn from Green Vespers.
Out of the vessel of darkness comes light. Let ours be a living faith. Let ours be a living chalice. Out of the vessel of earth comes water. Let ours be a living faith. Let ours be a living chalice. Out of the water of earth come the vessels of life. Let ours be a living faith. let ours be a living chalice. At this time of ingathering, let ours be a living faith, let ours be a living chalice.
Good morning. My name is Nisa Iwama. I'm the Director of Music Ministries. My pronoun is she, hers, and I'm here with Vicki Carter. And we are going to start this morning with a song that we actually learned briefly last week. It's called The Tide is Rising. And the rabbi who wrote this song has generously made it available for everyone in the world to have their own copy of the sheet music. Which is the kind of thing that if you take this home afterwards, and you might find it a couple days later, and I think it's a really good thing to have in your memory. So we'll teach the song to start, and then we'll sing it together. And it starts like this. The tide is rising, and so are we. I want you to hear that. The tide is rising, and so are we. 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 This is where we are called to be. We'll try that. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Okay, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. And we're going to try this. We change some of the words of the verses as we go along, and I'll shout them out. And I just invite you to breathe and to sing. Here we go. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty. The task is mighty. And so are we. The task is mighty. And so are we. The task is mighty. And so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging. The storm is raging. And so are we. The storm is raging. And so are we. The storm is raging. And so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. Last time, the world is ready. The world is ready. And so are we. The world is ready. And so are we. The world is ready. And so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tuli Patel. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a large woman of South Indian descent wearing a blue kurta with little waves on it in honor of water communion. So for our story for all ages, we reacquaint ourselves with this glass of water in which there is a drop of water named agua. Agua is very special. Everyone needs water. We humans can barely go 2 or 3 days without it. But lack of access to clean, safe drinking water can threaten our lives, right? We desperately need water. But water can also destroy. Floods, storms, and lack of water can really be devastating. That's the both, the this and the that, the joy and the sorrow. Agua has seen it all. Agua has sizzled on a pan. What does sizzling sound like? Yes, thank you. Or here's a tougher one. Agua has broken off from an iceberg. What does that sound like? All right. Agua can fall as rain. Agua joins us today after spending some time in New Zealand and having traveled all the way from New Zealand to Ocean Grove, where Jermaine and Dana were with our youth group yesterday, and Jermaine scooped Agua back up and brought them into the sanctuary. Agua wanted me to teach you a new word, to'anja. Can you say that? To'anja. To'anja is a Maori word that means a treasure of immense value. That's our agua. Sometimes it's not easy being a drop of water. Sometimes agua feels pushed around. Are there times when you feel pushed around? Tell me, what are they? I'll repeat it so everybody can hear. When have you felt pushed around? In school, pushed around in school, yes. And sometimes literally, right? Yes. Yes, Sammy? By you. By me. It's a good one. It's a good one, yes. Pushed around. That's my kid, in case anybody was wondering what I do. Other people, when do you feel pushed around? At work, you definitely can feel pushed around at work. Agua feels pushed around when uncontrollable waves of flooding are overwhelming. At other times, agua has barely a minute to breathe before they vanish as evaporation and then have to wait and wait and wait for other droplets to gather as a cloud, which can then cool and then come back as rain. Agua wishes there would be no more floods or droughts, but they also know that each one of us has to work to make this happen. As Octavia Butler, there's the book that's right there, says, everything we touch, we change. Every person, every blade of grass, every drop of water, everything we say, do, vote, speak about, or spend our money on can influence either positive or negative change. Agua has faith that someday, if we all work together, our efforts will create solid ground that will reinforce the natural water cycle, a planetary rebirth perhaps, improving life for us all. Agua faithfully keeps their heart wide open, navigating these days of getting pushed around until all hearts change. And you know what? Here's how Agua knows that keeping their heart wide open is working. Because even after all this time, every time Agua rides a wave or gets carried off in a breeze or sits so still in a lake that they almost can't tell where they end and the next molecule friend begins, even here at Water Ingathering, seeing all this life, Agua gets that tingling sense of wow, of connection and wonder to still be here on this blue boat home with one more day, one more chance to heal, change, and transform. Here ends our story for all ages. For our next song, Jermaine and I are going to lead you in some hand motions, and we invite you to really get into them.
We're about to do a song by Leah Morris. She has sung at General Assembly. The words of the song are in the back of the sheet music on that little handout. And it's a very simple tune that can be layered with different accompaniment and perhaps different voice lines. And it goes like this. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. That's the whole thing. We'll just start again. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. So one more time. Keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Sarah Muller Robbins. My pronouns are she, her. I first attended my local Unitarian Universalist congregation in Plainfield in January 2017, as my husband and I were navigating raising our 2 young children and teenager, my stepson, in an increasingly challenging and political social environment. I was raised Catholic and my husband Jewish, but we were not comfortable in either. My husband, in fact, was not comfortable in any organized religion. But learning that in this community, scientific inquiry is encouraged, protecting and caring for the earth and each other is central, and both theism and atheism can be respected, we agreed that this was a good fit. My family frequented the Sunday services and volunteered at the local food pantry. My 15-year-old stepson connected with the youth group, particularly loving the weekend-long regional youth cons. As he just prepared to start his senior year of college, he and I reflected on how his UU experience played an immense role in his social and emotional development while entering adulthood. However, though it had committed members, the Plainfield congregation had dwindling numbers, and my children were often the only kids present on Sunday. It could not sustain. The final service of the congregation's 133-year history was this past May. As we were deciding our next steps, my family learned about Beacon's thriving youth and adult programs and community service. We started attending just in time for my son to participate in the 5th grade OWL our whole lives, and I connected with new friends in adult OWL, as Dr. Tooley cleverly scheduled them both at the exact same time. But most importantly, the Beacon community welcomed me, my children, and my fellow Plainfield First Unitarian members. We quickly knew this would be our new spiritual home. So in the last 5 months, my children have been learning ways in which they can fit into and connect with others in this complicated world. And I value having a moment on Sundays to learn and reflect in the midst of increasingly busy schedules. We are grateful that Beacon is now supporting the monthly food pantry in Plainfield to keep us connected with our home community. So thank you, Beacon, for welcoming me, my family, and my dear fellow Plainfield congregants. This is the community I was seeking over 6 years ago, one in which we can proudly raise our children and grow, develop, and nurture ourselves.
Sarah, thank you so much and welcome. Our morning offering will now be gratefully given and received. And just as a note, Reverend Robin and I will be coming through and passing out a small stone for each one of you, all right?
and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, who walks in the cool of the day. My Lord said unto me, do you like my garden so pure? You may live in this garden if you keep the waters clean, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, who walks in the cool of the day.
What a beautiful song. Ugh. Our reading today is from Octavia Butler's 1993 book, The Parable of the Sower, in which she envisions the United States in the year 2024 through the eyes of a young girl who becomes a prophetic leader. Lauren Oya Olamina. The following is Lauren's journal entry in which she begins with a verse from her own religion she created called Earthseed. Lauren and her partner are discussing the state of the world as they contemplate creating a new community in the midst of the United States imploding. Create no images of God, except the images that God has provided. They are everywhere, in everything. God is change. Seed to tree, tree to forest, rain to river, river to sea. Grubs to bees, bees to swarm. From one, many. From many, one. Forever uniting, growing, dissolving. Forever changing. The universe is God's self-portrait. He sighed. You know, as bad as things are, we haven't even hit bottom yet. Starvation, disease, drug damage, and mob rule have only just begun. Federal, state, and local governments still exist in name, at least, and sometimes they manage to do something more than collect taxes and send in the military. And the money's still good. That amazes me. However much more you need to buy of anything these days, it's still accepted. That may be a hopeful sign, or perhaps it's only more evidence of what I said. We haven't hit bottom yet. Well, the group of us here doesn't have to sink any lower, I said. He shook his shaggy head, his hair, beard, and serious expression making him look more a little like an old picture I used to have of Frederick Douglass. I wish I believed that, he said. Perhaps it was his grief talking. I don't think we have a hope in hell in succeeding here. I slipped my arm around him and said, well, then let's go back. We still have work to do.
I won't drink agua, don't worry. Just thought about it. Just thought about it. Come with me, beloved, on an epic electric car ride. Are you ready? Okay. It's June of this year, and Beacon member Mia Morris and I decide that we will carpool on our way to General Assembly. the annual gathering of Unitarian Universalists. And I'm so excited to drive my new to me electric car. Now, the car has a range of 156 miles. So I map out the charging stations to make the 354-mile journey to Pittsburgh. No problem. We start off with a strong start in a sun-filled sky on a beautiful Tuesday morning. We stop for lunch and peruse an independent bookstore where I pick up a copy of this, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. But after lunch, when we go back to the car, we discover that the charging station has only been delivering half the amount of energy promised on the front of it. No problem, I say, no problem. We can make it to a different fast charging station. We'll be fine. But no map explains the hills of Pennsylvania. Oh dear, holy of all holy, the hills. The charge plummets. We quickly unplug all devices, no charging phones. Then we turn off the AC and create our own personal electric car sauna. The charge plummets even further, and we have to divert to another station. And just as we pull up to the station, I see Mia kind of squinting as she reads a sign that has just been taped to the front of it. Out of order. Back on the road, praying on the uphills, rejoicing on the downhills to gain a mile or two. I swear I believed in God by the end of this trip. 3 stations later, a call to my wife for remote tech support, who told me to keep the windows closed to reduce the drag, when I wondered, could we actually overheat ourselves while in motion? Dinner in a diner and a midnight stop at Sheetz to charge, we finally arrived. 14 hours later. Oh, but it gets better. I drop Mia off at her hotel at a little after 1 a.m., and I make my way to my hotel to look for a parking garage nearby, and I find one. Now, there's a sign at the front of the parking garage that clearly says, if you park here, you will not be able to access your car from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. No problem, I think. I am not taking this car anywhere before 7 a.m. today. It's now almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I pull the ticket for the garage and I go in, I park, no problem. I gather all my belongings, a suitcase for the week, a little cooler of food items that I will need throughout the week, my backpack with my laptop and my purse with my wallet and my hat box. Because a group of us has decided to wear fascinators at General Assembly, a story for another day. There I am with all my belongings, and I see the elevators to exit. They're enclosed by glass doors, so I make my way. I try the first door. It's locked. I try the door on the side. It's locked. I try the last door on the other side. It's locked too. No problem, I think. There's ramps. I'll just make my way to the exit via the ramp. I roll my suitcase around and I see the emergency exit sign. I put my belongings down as I open the door and I go through it, and there's another door. And I think, this is weird, but okay. And I go through that door to find myself in the middle of a construction site with no exit. No problem, I think. I'll just go back to the entrance. I gather up my belongings and I wheel my way down 2 levels back to that garage door where I began. And I look, and there's no exit. I try the sensors on the door, and then there's a little number that promises if I'm in trouble, I can call for help. And so I call for help. And a very, very nice sounding voice message informs me that they'll return my phone call at 9 a.m. It's getting very hot in the garage, and I can feel myself starting to panic as I look at my phone and it dies. So I start to just try to settle into the idea of sleeping in my car for the night when I see a man walking in the alley past the garage door. Hey, I'm stuck in here. Can you help? And I watch him kind of sway like this, and he stumbles his way to the garage door, at which point we're close enough to talk and also close enough to smell, and that's when I smell the tequila. And I think, oh dear God, my ability to get free relies upon the person leaving the last open bar in Pittsburgh on a Tuesday. It's now well past 2 a.m. He tries all the things I've tried. Sensors, he tries to take a ticket, but he's not a car, so the door won't open. He tries the number and gets the nice, polite voicemail. And then he starts to walk away. Panic rises in me. I can't even find the words, but he must sense that my fear is just pounding through my ears, and he turns around and gets very close and says, "Don't worry, we're in this together." And then he walks away. At which point I think, sure, we're in this together, but I'm in here and you're out there. So I wait 10 minutes, and when he doesn't come back, I think, well, it's done for. And so I grab my hat box and my little cooler and my purse and my backpack and my rolling suitcase, and I start to make my way down the ramp back to the car. And that is when I hear the garage door open. I turn around, and it as if I'm being reborn. I run up the ramp with my suitcase rolling behind and my hat box bobbing on my hip, and I drop all of my belongings like some epic rom-com, and I open my arms and I say, thank you. And he just steps away and says, no problem. You see, he has come with a security guard, and it turns out that the security guard was watching this man stumble his way toward the garage door, and he thought something suspicious was happening. And because of that, he came out of the building next door, and he just happened to have the key card to open the garage. And that point, my friend, who promised that we would be in this together, explained that I was stuck, and the security guard came and opened the garage door. I looked at the security guard saying, thank you so much. And he said, no problem, it happens a lot. That is a sermon for another day. The detail that made me doubt the most turned out to make the difference in me getting out of the garage. In this together. I don't know about you, but I've been trained to see the world in terms of stuck in the garage and outside the garage. I've been trained to believe we aren't really in anything together. We are irrevocably divided. Anyone else feel like this sometimes? Tuli? But then the smoke from another country catches our breath, and the storms built in another ocean batters our houses, and the iceberg breaking loose raises the waters at our shore, and the drought in another place starts the fire that brings the smoke. And at some point, the truth catches us. we are, in fact, all living in a bigger garage that's getting hotter. And difference, well, difference, beloved, doesn't mean absolute divide at all. Now, being in this bigger garage, it's a scary realization, but it's also something else, a starting place. Octavia Butler's futuristic vision of the country gone wrong is eerily familiar. There's even a fascist political figure who promises in his campaign, and a direct quote from her book written in 1993, to make America great again. How does he propose to do that? By eradicating difference and seeking control. Cue the character Lauren Olamina, who runs in direct opposition to fascism for a life rooted in relationship, a life of choosing to be together, a life where diversity is the source of strength. Universalism told us this tale long ago. They said it was God as love, a life force that kept us connected, a force that we could choose to live against or with. And again, this truth is crashing at our shore, pounding in our hearts, and begging us to escape the small garage doors of our living so that we can get to the big one together. Everything we touch, we change. Everything we change changes us. Nothing is fixed. Not the worst thing that's ever happened to you, not the insecurities you have, the story you have of the limitations of what you think you can do, not the best thing that's ever happened to you either. It's not fixed, and that is very scary, but it's also hopeful. It's a starting point, because it means each day we get to choose. To be rooted in relationship, to go deep, or just stay on the surface. And no matter what's come the day before or what comes at us in that day and how it limits our choices, we still, in the narrowest scope, can choose transformation. Walk away from the garage door, not my problem. I'm going to stay on my path. Or lean in and go and get help. Shout for help or stay quiet and sleep in your car. Do we dare to live rooted in relationship, Beacon? Do we? Kathy, what do you think? Yes. Helen? Yes. Jeannie? Yes. Madan, what do you think? Yes. Jermaine? We can hyper-focus on social media and the fake fights, and media will give us a lot of fake fights. Or we can dig in locally, listen to a neighbor's heartbreak, plant a pollinator or two, share your harvest. We can dare to live rooted in relationship. Hide your fear away or connect here and be real. Tell of your fears and your worries. It's getting hotter. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay also to share your wild seeds of hope that nothing is fixed. We dare, Beacon, to live rooted in relationship. You cannot think about the hard questions, the impossible stuff. You can numb out with whatever you can find, or you can bring your hard questions, the pressure cooker of work, the anxiety about school, the city council meetings that make you feel like giving up. Or you can bring it all here and dare to live rooted in relationship. You can numb out with doom scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, your choice. Take hours and hours and hours of video games, or maybe take some time outside and remember you are of earth. Take hope in bees and the smallest little acorn that has turned into the oak tree. We can dare to live rooted in relationship. We can say it's all lost and scoff at the tree-hugging Unitarian Universalists. Despair sometimes feels easier. Or, beloved, we can show up and see each action. Food packed in the food pantry in Plainfield yesterday, signs for a march that will be readied for the March to End Fossil Fuels on September 17th, water in a common vessel, small as it may be, drop by drop, drops in the bucket of transformation. And so, Beacon, I ask, Beacon, will we dare this year, as fascism rises, as the heat temperatures grow, as we will be plastered and presented and pushed around with the false belief that difference means division, will we go deeper, double down, and dare to live rooted in relationship? Yes? 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 Rooted in relationship. Yes? Yes. Rooted in relationship. Yes? Yes. Rooted in relationship. Yes? Yes. Yes. Yes, we will.
Can you believe that summer is passing us by? Here we are at the end. Oh. And as the summer days begin to cool, the northeast of America, hopefully, each one of us is invited to bring water. More than a drop, but less than a cup, all right?
Water from faucets and spigots.
From nearby streams, rivers, and seas.
From our journeys, both near and far, body and spirit.
And we pour them into our common vessel.
A seed planted in East Lansing, Michigan by Carolyn McDade and Chuck Longview. It was at a gathering of Unitarian Universalist women as a way, and I quote, for women who lived far apart to connect to the work that each was doing locally for the whole.
Emily, how long has our congregation gathered water?
That is a great question. Well, Dr. Tooley has, you've been here, this is your 20th year. And have we been doing the water communion since you were here? Since that first year? Since that first year. And I wonder, Jeannie, because I think you've been a member longer than Tooley's been here. And I know some others of you have been here longer. I wonder if at social hour at Beacon Cafe, you all can put your heads together and remember back maybe to that first water communion. You think you can?
Sure.
There's going to be some organizing going on, I can tell, at Beacon Cafe. So, in fact, the water that is in this pitcher, the glass pitcher right there, holds water from all those past ceremonies, even though we don't know how long it's been, holds water from each of those past ceremonies at Beacon, mixing and mingling with each new generation. And it is the first to be poured into our common vessel. And this year, for the first time, we're going to pour water from our silver pitcher, which is from the First Unitarian Society in Plainfield, New Jersey's oldest UU congregation, many of whose members are now joined with Beacon. We know that this is actually a bittersweet moment. So often in these moments, we hold both loss and hope for our future together. Let the waters come.
I invite you now to hold your water if you brought it with you, and the stone that Emily and Robin passed out to you. For those of you online, you can imagine a stone, or perhaps you have something close by that you can hold. So everybody, I invite you to gently close your eyes and hold the stone in one hand. Feel how the hand not holding the stone perhaps feels different. One hand is holding the weight of the stone, the other hand doesn't have it. You are invited to move your fingers over the contours of the stone. Perhaps they're smooth or rough, just like what we experience in life, times of struggle, times of joy. With your eyes still closed, imagine the sands of a vast desert. Maybe you once lived in or visited a desert landscape, or perhaps you've seen one on TV. It can seem lifeless, and yet cacti blossom, holding water deep within them. Just as our work for justice at times feels like it's too little when so much needs to be done. What places in your life are you feeling particularly parched? Where are you thirsting for justice? Your eyes still closed, for all of us experiencing desert times and the heaviness in our hearts like the weight of the stone, Reverend Robin will pour water into our common vessel. You will hear it. Now bring to mind a memory or an image of a lake. The water is cool. The air smells fresh and the sun is sparkling on the water. There is a buoy, a float, a dock. Your heart is wide open and you are on solid ground. What places in your life are feeling buoyed, cared for, and rooted in relationship? When you let go, what holds you? For all of us trusting the rhythms of the universe, Reverend Robin will pour water into our common vessel. Now imagine traveling down a river. Maybe we have a kayak or a raft. Perhaps we're walking a path alongside the river. It's winding its way down paths we never imagined, into calm eddies and over rapid rocks, carving the path of life before us. Where are you on your life's journey? What does the river have to teach you? For all of us reflecting on the lessons of the river, Robin will pour water into our common vessel. Now recall a moment in your life sitting on a beachfront, watching the waves crash on the sand. You know that the waves can push and pull, nurture life and yet destroy. But this day, as you look out across the horizon, you have a moment of profound awe. What have you learned about the mystery of life? For all of us experiencing the wonder of our vast oceans, Reverend Robin will pour water into our common vessel. You are invited to take a deep breath in and gently open your eyes. Now it is your turn. As the music plays and you feel moved, we call you forward in 2 lines to release your stone and what its contour represents. Pour your waters into your common vessels and return to your seats along the side aisles. If you need assistance, please raise your hand and someone will come to you. We invite you forward in 2 lines.
We bless now both the stones and the waters of this community, our beloved Beacon. These waters will dedicate our children. They will bless our homes, bless the brows of the sick and those journeying on, and provide a balm on the hands of mourners.
As you are able, rise and reach out, placing hands on the shoulders of those before you.
Figure it out. I'm going cross-eyed.
We can do it.
We're good? Connecting all of us to our common vessel. That includes you online. Reach out and touch the screen, the air, someone in your home. Feel the blessing that is community. Incorporate Lucille Clifton. We lift up the gospel of the poet Lucille Clifton.
May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out.
Beyond the face of fear, may you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back.
May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever.
And may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that.
Mm-hmm.
Our closing song is all of our favorites, Blue Boat Home, but we're going to do it a little bit of a different way today. So we're going to sing one verse from Inside Here. Then we have a treat because Dennis Mannion and Joelle Bochner are going to be doing a sing-along for all of us out on the patio, and they will pick up with the second and third verses. So you might want to bring your hymnal, or if you just want to follow along with the words that they're singing, you can do that from outside. So before we just start, I want to say thank you to Will Cisco and Sammy Korean and their welcome team in particular for helping us have such a beautiful experience today. So I invite you to turn to 1064 and join in singing the first verse from Inside of Blue Boat Home.
Still my dry land heart can say leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Oh, bring your pain and sorrow and joy. There's a place for them upon the altar of life. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. This is a place of grace, a place of losing and finding our way upon the winding road. Meeting and parting, stumbling and starting over. Every story is sacred here, even yours. So come on in and do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. Come in and do not leave your cares at the door.